Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Dana again, and today you're at Research Road. This is a weekly series where we go through science and tech news with a bit of dry humor. Then we answer some questions from y'all. Today is the 8th of October, 2024, and because of the company's reputation today, you might be surprised to know that on this date in 1945, Raytheon filed a very important patent, one for the microwave. So, starting off with tech news, satellite imagery showing the lack of light coming from the area impacted by Hurricane Helene is circulating online and is giving many around the world their first real look at the scope of the devastation that comes from hurricanes. If you're one of the many people moving to the coast, please keep those images in mind when orders to evacuate or prepare come out in the future. Elon Musk chose to make an appearance with Trump. I'm sure that will help rehabilitate his image among most of the customers for his companies. There's no way that will further damage his relationship with customers who are progressive. An image of former President Trump wading through water in the aftermath of the hurricane has gone viral. People love the image, and of course it's completely fake. It's an AI-generated image. In somewhat related news, reports to the Federal Trade Commission suggest that Truth Social has a lot of scammers on the site hitting users for large amounts of money. Please protect yourself from scammers and think twice before giving out your information or money. And now on to space. NASA has issued a stand-down for the Europa Clipper launch due to Hurricane Milton. Te Coronae Borealis has us all still waiting. The star is a recurrent nova. To take that out of space nerd speak, that means it's two stars, a red giant and a white dwarf. About every 80 years, enough gas from the red giant has collected on the white dwarf and it blows. It's basically a nuclear explosion that causes the star to brighten. We've kind of been waiting for it to do its thing for about 4 months. So, any day now, right? Now it's time to talk about the developing climate crisis. A group of scientists conducted a series of simulations to determine how long alien civilizations could survive if they kept up with increasing energy consumption like we do. They didn't do too well. They kind of kept ending due to the effects of climate change. The civilizations last about 1,000 years. The good news is that if the species lived in balance, the species would survive. Switzerland and Italy are redrawing their borders as the glaciers melt and the ridges that mark the border disappear. The climate crisis is redrawing maps. The toll from Hurricane Helene is now over 225. In one of those things that sounds like it could be the beginning to a sci-fi movie where things go horribly wrong while trying to pursue a noble goal, researchers are looking at how to use a bacteria found in wastewater to basically eat plastic. The quote that caught a lot of people's attention was,
"It is amazing that this bacterium can perform that entire process, and we identified a key enzyme responsible for breaking down the plastic materials. This could be optimized and exploited to help get rid of plastics in the environment."
In the world of animals, the famous white beluga whale off the coast of Norway that was rumored to have been a Russian spy has had its cause of death revealed. Officials say it probably died from a bacterial infection. Officials went out of their way to say, quote,
"There have been no findings from the autopsy that indicate that the whale has been shot."
"I'm sure it was just a training accident. If you understood that, call your handler." The extended heat in Arizona has led to a longer rattlesnake season. Keep an eye out for baby rattlers and seek help if you get bit. A strain of bird flu has reportedly killed 47 tigers, 3 lions, and a panther at zoos in Vietnam. If this crosses to humans, please remember this so you can remind people who don't want to take precautions that they are not stronger than a lion. In health news, Rwanda has started a trial for a vaccine to protect against Marburg. They got 700 doses, which will be used to vaccinate frontline healthcare workers. The country is currently dealing with an outbreak. If you don't know, Marburg is most often compared to Ebola. Now let's dig up the past a little. Get ready for history books to be revised. Archaeologists in Morocco have discovered the remnants of a farming society from 5,000 years ago. Outside of the Nile Valley, it's the oldest site of its sort in Africa found so far. Researchers looking at a small Roman colony that sat about 60 miles away from Rome have determined that after it resisted Rome's authority for an unknown reason, the Roman military destroyed the city to such a degree that it was left unused for 170 years and then basically became a landfill. During World War II, Allied pilots in the Pacific would report seeing an old American destroyer operating well within Japan's areas. It became known as the Ghost Ship of the Pacific and remained unexplained until it was later discovered that the USS Stuart had been captured by the Japanese and they were using it. The U.S. Navy took the ship back, and after the war, it wound up being used for target practice and was sunk. Its wreck has now been discovered almost upright on the ocean floor. And now on to oddities. The U.S. Army is reportedly testing robot dogs equipped with an AI-powered weapon in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure that's nothing to worry about and not the stuff of nightmares. Also in oddities, Vance. Oh, come on, that was funny. And now we're going to answer some of your questions. If you want to send one in, send it to questionforbo@gmail.com.
I don't know why, even on the Research and Science show, you all have to inject your anti-Trump politics. Can you please ask Dana to tone that down?
Yeah, so I got the message. I'll stop being anti-Trump when he stops being anti-science. When he rambles on about stuff and creates baseless claims about, well, pretty much everything, that puts him on the opposite side of things from me. Sorry? But also, I'm kind of not. I don't know how you could enjoy this show and not understand that his drill baby drill rhetoric is bad and that he's hurting the battle against the great fight of our generation.
John W. Campbell is said to have asked of his writers, "Write me an alien that thinks as well as a human, but not like a human." What works contain your favorite or most realistic aliens? Supplementary question. Why do you think the authors of the best aliens are mostly female? I am thinking of C.J. Cherry, Le Guin, and Rebecca Orr. Thanks, love your videos.
One of the more outside-the-lines beliefs that I have is that aliens won't necessarily be anything like we expect them to be. Sure, they could be humanoid and vocalized by moving air through the same tube they use to swallow food, but there's no reason to assume that life from another planet would have followed the same path we did. So I'm not sure about what would be realistic. I think women are better at writing a wider range of characters because we are more empathetic. Obviously, that's just a huge generalization, but we're speaking in generalities.
This is as a follow-up question for Dana. Why couldn't a Star Trek transporter be used to bring back a previous version of somebody before they got a disease, or even to bring them back from the dead? And why was there never a Brundle fly on Star Trek, for that matter? If it's just disassembly and reassembly, why would shields or ion storms interfere with it?
I'm not sure if they can save the information from the transporter in the series. There was a Brundlefly of sorts with a character called Tuvix. Janeway didn't mess around solving that. I'm assuming that shields and storms stop transporters for two reasons. It's transferring the same matter and then reassembling it. And the second reason is that it makes a good plot device.
What do you think of the scary sci-fi story idea for Halloween? Or the idea of your own channel?
So, if you didn't see it, somebody suggested that we put together some sci-fi and scary stories for Halloween to Belle. There was also the suggestion of me launching a separate channel. Personally, I think it might be from one of the people who don't like my voice trying to get me out of here. I'm thinking about it. I think I'm going to try the sci-fi story. I always thought that there should be a lot more sci-fi stories on YouTube that teach lessons about society. Like the scary stories you find here, but, they're sci-fi. I'm not sure about a second channel. That seems like a lot to take on right now. We'll see how it develops. This week's quote is attributed to Ray Bradbury, who is totally not just for basic people. I really hope y'all saw Belle's episode where she proclaimed Bradbury her favorite. Science fiction is the most important literature in the history of the world because it's the history of ideas, the history of our civilization birthing itself. Science fiction is central to everything we've ever done, and people who make fun of science fiction writers don't know what they're talking about. So that's all the data we have to date. Hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you again soon.